So as they say, royalty takes its own sweet time, and this one certainly has. This is the Honda H'ness CB350, and finally we have the motorcycle with us today. Now for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to call it the CB350 because, well, H'ness is spelled differently and what I'm saying and what I'm reading doesn't really correlate, so let's just call it the CB350. Now with that out of the way, let's take a closer look at what the motorcycle is all about, what kind of a job has Honda done, and whether this is the premium Honda motorcycle that we have all been waiting for all this while. Let's start with the design of the motorcycle. Now yes, this is a subjective matter, but as for me, I quite like it. The shape of the motorcycle is properly retro, but Honda has given it modern elements which do not take away the retro spirit, but add functionality. This includes all LED lighting on the CB350, and yes, those front indicators stay on all the time unless you use them as actual indicators. What you see here is the DLX Pro variant, which costs 6,000 rupees more and gets you these dual horns that get chrome finishing on them, along with the dual paint color scheme. Lastly, it also includes a Bluetooth system, which we did not get to use because, well, you need a headset to use those features, and that's an additional thing you need to buy, as Honda does not offer that even as an accessory. Also, there is an app which is needed for this system, but that's only for Android users as it's not on iOS. So now that we are done talking about the design of the CB350, let's talk about perhaps one of the things that it really needs to get right in order to succeed in this segment, which is the sound of the motorcycle. Now I know this is a bit of a subjective matter. Personally, I think this is the best sounding motorcycle in the segment, but I'll leave it up to you. Here's how it sounds. The CB350 is actually very high on the features that it offers, and prime amongst them is the traction control system, which is always good to have. Other than that, you get this part digital instrument cluster which looks fantastic and has all the telltale signs under the gloss panel. The cluster shows everything you need to know, including distance to empty, and has a gear position indicator as well. There is also a USB-C port, which is actually a smart move by Honda because you keep motorcycles for years and everything will soon be USB-C. So it's good future proofing. The build quality is top notch and I love the paint finish too. Honda, however, has swapped the position of the horn and the indicator, and that definitely takes some time getting used to. Well, now let's talk about the riding ergonomics. Now to give you an idea, my height is 5'10", and you can see once I'm on the CB350, I can plant both my feet firmly onto the ground. The handlebar reaches to me naturally. I really like the footpeg positioning. The seats are really comfortable, so I wouldn't mind doing long distance touring on this motorcycle. But what really stands out for me is that the CB350 gives you that big bike feel. Now, talking about having the big bike feel, we have to talk about this engine. Now this 348cc engine is what that really differentiates this motorcycle from the rest of the competition. This engine is absolutely sublime. This is a 348cc single-cylinder unit that makes about 21 horsepower and a lovely 30 Nm of torque that is delivered as low as 3000 RPM. The engine runs smooth like a hot knife through butter and has no annoying vibrations whatsoever. It uses a counterbalancer shaft and fuel injection and is extremely tractable, which means you can stay at high gears at low speeds without any hassle. Speaking of gears, the lever feels ergonomically, well, weird because it is placed way high above the footrest. So if you shift up using your ankle, it is just an uncomfortable experience, especially if you are wearing proper riding boots like I am. Additionally, the gearing is really tall, so if you're used to riding a motorcycle like a Royal Enfield for example, you will find yourself wanting to stay a gear lower to stay in the meat of power. As for the riding experience, the motorcycle can touch 140 km an hour but feels comfortable doing slightly over 100 km an hour. It also gets a slip and assist clutch, so the clutch lever is really light to use and that makes the bike friendly in city traffic. The suspension setup is on point and the bike can take bad roads like a champ, and the same goes for the highways as well. It gets these fat MRF tires which are decent at best. The brakes have the right amount of bite but lack feedback on the lever. But still, overall, the bike does what it is intended to do. And honestly, it does it better than any other motorcycle in the segment. And it's a proper head turner wherever it goes if you're into that sort of a thing.
So to sum it all up, well, I absolutely love the CB350 and it's one of the most fun I've had during testing a motorcycle, and I test a lot of them. That's how good the CB350 is. Usually at this point I tell you my concerns about the motorcycle that I'm testing, but frankly in this case I don't really have any, except for the fact that Honda is selling this through its big wing dealership network, and as of now, well, there aren't a lot of big wing dealerships in India. However, I asked Honda about this and they assured me that within this year itself we'll see a lot of new Honda big wing dealerships all across the country. So if you have a big wing dealership near you, I don't think there is any reason for you to think twice before going for the H'ness CB350.